Too a little short for a stormtrooper.
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the week's nerdy news from Jakku to the dreaming and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me, as always, Steve Haller. What's up, Steve?
Well, you said the dreaming, and that was a hell of a show
Sure did.
because we just finished our sandcastle. Yeah, we finished our sandcastle, guys. It's done.
Big news. Big breaking news. You all know we've been working on a sandcastle for months, Steve and I, in our off hours. And it's finished.
Yes, a sandcastle in Syracuse, New York, because that's, of course, where you build sandcastles. No, The Sandman was a good show. If you want to hear more about it, please go check out the episode that just posted prior to this. So, we finished up our full season review, and I believe the cliff notes are, damn, that was good.
I was going to say, it's really just us talking about the things we liked about it. I don't think we said one bad thing about it in the second. We might have said one bad thing about it in the review of the first 5 episodes, but in this second 5, I don't think we said one bad word about it. We love it.
No.
We're just a bunch of corporate shills for Netflix and the Sandman.
Yeah, we're just, giant Neil Gaiman stans. Or, if you want to verify either of those statements, please go watch the last episode.
Yeah, watch it or listen to it. It's up to you.
Your choice.
But as far as this week goes, pretty much an extension of what we were talking about last week. Not a ton of big news.
No, just a lot of more details on some really stupid news.
A lot of more details on some Warner Brothers and some DC stuff. Kicking it off with Flash Watch. Dun, dun, dun. Flash Watch. We need a graphic for that and a little theme song.
There you go. Yeah, if this thing's going to keep dragging on, we might as well just create a whole thing out of it.
You're right. You know what? Maybe I'll write a little Flash Watch jingle because we have until at least June. At least. And maybe indefinitely. Anyway, update on a couple tidbits on Flash Watch. Embattled star of the Flash, Ezra Miller, just keeps having stuff happen to them. Miller was charged with felony burglary in Vermont this past week. They were not arrested officially. They have to attend an arraignment hearing in Superior Court on September 26th in Vermont. So,
I mean, I'm not a doctor, but felony burglary usually means not great.
Not great at all. But then again, Ezra Miller is a famous person, and as we know in America, famous people rarely go to jail, and if they do, it's never for long.
Right. And instead of that,
paying a fine.
Instead of that, apparently they were on set at various points this summer. I don't know how or why, but
Miller also
confirmation,
attended scheduled reshoots, just in between arrests this summer. Just kept showing up for reshoots.
I'm in Hawaii. I'm reshooting. I'm getting arrested in Vermont. I'm reshooting. I'm back in Hawaii getting arrested, reshooting. Like, come on, guys. What's going on here?
But from all reports, those reshoots went off without a hitch. No problems. That they were cooperative and not causing problems on the sets of the reshoots of the Flash. But what were they reshooting? You got to wonder at this point if Ezra Miller's behavior has impacted what they're shooting at all. Are they adding something? Are they changing something? I don't know. I'm probably reading into that too much because big movies like this always do reshoots, so they were previously scheduled. You can't assume that they're just, changing the entire ending of the movie to write Barry Allen out of the plot. Maybe they are. Who knows?
Here's to hoping.
But it came out this week. I believe it was a Hollywood Reporter. Came out and said that Warner Brothers Discovery apparently is considering 3 options for the release of the Flash movie. They are as follows. Option 1, this is probably the one that they're crossing their fingers for the most. Option one is that Ezra Miller seeks professional help for their problems. Ezra Miller does, like a big mea culpa tour, like an apology interview on some, probably some big show or in, Rolling Stone or something, and then they would do limited press for the movie, and the movie opens as planned. That's probably the best case scenario, is that Ezra Miller can apologize in some way and say, yep, I was off my meds or undiagnosed with something, or I was just in a bad way, whatever, some kind of something, and generate some kind of positivity around them for the release of the movie. How likely is that?
I'm not holding my breath on that one.
Oh, neither am I. I'm not. When it comes to Warner Brothers and the future of the DC universe, I am not holding my breath about anything, honestly, at this point. It's very depressing for me to say that, but I'm just not. Option two, Ezra Miller does not seek professional help. They do not do any press for the film. They are not part of the marketing at all. But then Warner Brothers still releases the movie as planned. And if that is the case, then it's pretty certain that there will be no chance of Ezra Miller continuing on in the role of Barry Allen or the Flash in the future. This one, right now, seems like the most likely option. I'll go on to option three before we recap here. The option three is that, this one, that's the first part of this one's pretty likely, that the situation with Ezra Miller gets even worse. They continue to make headlines and continue to be arrested and do crazy stuff. And Warner Brothers decides to completely shelve the movie. Apparently, quote from this Hollywood Reporter, said they are unable to reshoot the movie with a new actor because Miller plays multiple roles and is in almost every scene of the movie, so they would have to reshoot almost the entire movie. So I get that would cause a lot of money to reshoot. But at the same time, if you shelve the movie completely, you're not making any money back on this multi-$100 million film that you've already put money into.
Right.
I mean, but David Zaslav has already showed us that he would rather cancel a movie than make money on it. So
more on that later.
More on that in a little bit. Maybe he's the kind of guy that doesn't care. I just feel like I don't know how much it would. I don't know exactly. I can't give you a dollar amount on how much it would cost to reshoot this movie, but I feel like if you reshoot it, you're still going to make money on it. That's better than not making any money at all, than shelving it, right?
Right. And you're doing that with a star who, at this point, I feel like you can have a actual verb of pulling a Miller, where it's just arbitrarily being famous and then arrested numerous times.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to change. Like, you're not going to take the crazy out of whatever's going on right now unless option one happens and they actually seek professional help.
I mean, for their sake, I hope that it's option one.
Yeah.
I would rather it be option one to kind of mend fences, and me and every other person that wants to see this movie can go in with a free conscience of going to see this movie.
Right.
Because number two, people are going to go to see it, but not as many. There are going to be people that are turned off enough by Ezra Miller's behavior that they're not going to go see it. Again, and number three, I just feel like it's got to be worth, just cast a nobody, make someone's dream come true, pluck them from obscurity, pay them the least amount of money you can possibly pay them to reshoot this movie, and then you'll still make you will make more money. I think you'll make more money if you reshoot with somebody else than if you put it out with Ezra Miller in it.
Right. You may net less, but it probably will.
Yeah. It'll be a better success story.
Right.
And it looks good, like we talked about weeks ago. It'll look better for the studio if they come out and say, we cannot in good conscience release this product that we have, but we believe in the story, so we're still going to do it. So anyway, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I just don't know. And we're going to now, I guess, kind of segue, because this relates to, we already kind of hinted at the Batgirl thing. There's more fallout from Batgirl, more kind of talk about what DC is doing, where things are going. and I'm going to tease this. I'll say this at the end when we start wrapping up. I think I know why they canceled Batgirl.
Okay.
And I haven't said this to Steve. I haven't said this to anybody. I haven't even said it out loud. But I think that I know why. And it's hearsay. It's me making connections. I could be completely wrong, but I think I know why. But I'll get to that. So stay tuned, avid listeners. So apparently, another Hollywood Reporter article came out this week, kind of talking about the fallout. We mentioned last week when we were talking about Batgirl that president of DC Films, Walter Hamada, almost quit immediately when he heard that Batgirl was being canceled. Because apparently he had plans for the DC universe, and one of those plans, allegedly, he was planning a Crisis on Infinite Earths event for their films, which it's a seminal DC Comics event, happened in the 80s, where it melded all of their universes together, or, reorganized. It was the first, big multiversal event in comics, and it helped them smooth out their continuity. And that seems like something that DC Films needs and needed. And that's what they were planning. That's what they were building towards. Doesn't seem like that's happening anymore, because I think part of that hinged on The Flash. And now we don't know what's going on with The Flash, or they may have changed their plans for The Flash. But Walter Hamada was not the only one at DC Films that was, quote-unquote, pissed about Zaslav, one, canceling Batgirl, and then saying on the earnings call, talking about DC Films, saying that it's something that we can make better. Apparently, a lot of people were really pissed off by that phrase because, can you blame them? These are hardworking people that are trying to do their best jobs making these movies. We received updates, not necessarily official, certainly not from David Zaslav's mouth, that the Black Canary movie is still in development. The Green Lantern series is still in development, and Peacemaker Season 2 is also still in development, still moving forward. How much can we trust those? I don't know. I feel like based on what we talked about last week, that Green Lantern being a series, Peacemaker being a series, more likely Black Canary is a movie, and he straight up said that they didn't want to make be making too many original movies for. Oh, Steve lost his headphones. For HBO Max, they were going to focus on series for HBO Max, and they were going to focus on theatrical released films. So Black Canary, I don't know. I'm taking all this stuff with a grain of salt because everything's up in the air, and like I said, I'm not holding hope for anything at this point at all. They also said that this article also said that Titans, the series Titans and Doom Patrol, are also quote unquote on the chopping block, but decisions are going to be made after those new seasons air, which thank God, because I would like to watch new seasons of both those shows, specifically Doom Patrol. And it makes sense, that makes sense. Decisions will be made until after once the new seasons air, but if that's not official statement from Warner Brothers, then are we going to believe the common sense? Of course, you filmed a series, you're going to put it out, or are we going to believe the guy that canceled Batgirl, even though it was almost done and he canceled it anyway? Something being almost done clearly doesn't make it stand a better chance of being released in this guy's brain. You know what I mean?
No, at this point, I just don't know what's going on in David Zaslav's brain, but that's. We could probably have an entire podcast based around that. And I feel like we have for the last month or so. Because every decision that keeps coming out is just like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. Also, the show Pennyworth, about Alfred and his time as a secret agent in London, which I've never seen, but I've heard is very good. Season 3 of Pennyworth is about to release on HBO Max, an HBO Max original. It got a new subtitle for Season 3, and now the name of the show is Pennyworth, The Origins of Batman's Butler, which just screams to me an executive looking at that and saying, how do we get the word Batman into this title? It's forced, it's unnatural, and it's a dumb subtitle.
Is it accurate? Yes, it is technically an accurate title. However, why do you need to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I just imagine like it was. I just imagine David Zaslav looking at a list and being like, "What's Pennyworth?" And being like, "It's Alfred's. It's a show about Alfred when he was young." It's like, how do we get the word
Who's
Batman in this title?
who's
Like,
Alfred?
who's Alfred? Exactly. Yeah.
Alfred's Batman's butler. So it's the story of Batman's butler? Okay. Let's go with that.
Put that in there.
I don't know why I immediately go like David Zaslav apparently has a Brian Regan voice.
Yeah.
Like it immediately goes to the "When's the baby due?" voice.
Yeah. When's the baby do?
Ling Ling.
Yeah, so everything's still up in the air. I'm like, I don't trust this even this report that's saying that Green Lantern and Peacemaker and Black Canary are safe. Like, I don't trust that. I don't.
Green Lantern at this point isn't. I guess Green Lantern isn't because there's plenty of history there. I was like, isn't Green Lantern kind of DC's Inhumans, where it's like don't touch it with a 10-foot pole because of the mess that was 2011.
I think it was for a while because of the Ryan Reynolds movie, but
we've had enough time? You think?
I don't know. I think so. I think there's so much untapped storytelling there, and the Green Lantern is cosmic. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's a huge team of like crazy looking aliens and stuff that all wear green rings, and one's a squirrel and one's a giant planet, and just there's like so much weirdness and cool cosmic stuff you can do. Like it's I remember watching the final battle of Captain Marvel where she's like flying around in space and like shooting things. I was like, this is great, but I wish it was a Green Lantern movie. Just because I would rather, because I'm partial to Green Lantern over Captain Marvel, but like this is what a Green Lantern movie should look like.
Right. And did they only taint Hal Jordan or like?
Well, no, that's the other thing. There's plenty of other really main character Green Lanterns, and this show, I don't know that Hal Jordan is even in this show. I think they're the ones that they mentioned are everybody except the most popular two, which again, maybe that's a bad idea to not put your Jon Stewart or Hal Jordan in the show, but I guess we'll see. I don't know, but
to me, not putting Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart in it means Hal Jordan is still off limits because of the stupidity, and we're going to do something else with Jon Stewart moving forward.
Yeah, well, I think for a while there was talks of a Green Lantern film that was going to be a buddy cop movie with Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart together. But I can't assume that plans for that are still in active development. We haven't heard anything in
buddy cop movie. Do you bring Ryan Reynolds back?
I don't know. They bring everybody back now. I feel like now everyone would love it. But I don't know. I was trying to think. There's talk. Speaking of Green Lantern, the showrunner for Green Lantern is Greg Berlanti, who was the showrunner for Arrow and The Flash, and kind of created that whole Arrowverse. That Green Lantern show is like the biggest budget thing he's ever worked on. There's rumor of him being named the Kevin Feige of the DC universe.
Really?
Yeah. But there's also reports saying that he wouldn't take that job if it was offered to him. So I don't know. I think he would be a good choice. He has a good understanding of the characters and their relationships. He's written a lot of them for a long time, so he wouldn't be a bad choice. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But one thing that I wanted to touch on, I meant to touch on last week, but it just kind of got away from me, was the overall, like, looking at David Zaslav's reasoning for canceling Batgirl, protecting the DC brand, not focusing on HBO Max as much. We want to do theatrical films. We don't want to make films straight for streaming services. Direct-to-consumer stuff, he said, doesn't work as well as far as like a theatrical experience. And we're clearly not the first podcast to talk about this and say this, but this is kind of sending a signal. Like, what kind of signal is this sending to streaming services or other presidents of other streaming services when somebody comes out and says it's not financially smart for us to make a $90 million movie and then release it on our streaming service essentially for free? Because people aren't paying tickets for that. You're paying your $8 a month. And how many people are sharing passwords? Like, how many people watch HBO Max without actually paying for it?
Right.
A lot. So,
right. Most of them either bundled in or, you sign up for a year of Time Warner and you get HBO for a year.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, AT&T used to own HBO Max, and a lot of people that have AT&T like for their phones or whatever got HBO
Right.
Max for free. I can't imagine that that's going to stick around now that they don't, once whatever time period lapses, because they sold Warner Brothers to Discovery. But he's kind of making a good point. And a lot of people are saying, like, is this a death nail in the streaming service bubble when corporations realize, oh, we're spending a lot of money on these things and we're not really recouping because people are only paying us $10 a month or whatever, and we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to make Ryan Reynolds movies for Netflix, like big budget things. Like, is this going to be? Are we going to look back at this cancellation of Batgirl as like the moment that the bubble burst for streaming services?
Right. And whether that was a line in the sand of, this is where we're shifting again to, because I don't know if you've noticed, but streaming services are basically cable again.
Yeah, because there's so many.
Yeah.
So many. Yeah.
You've got 8 million of them. Everything's on a different one. And you got to, at least you can do it a la carte and just like buy a month and watch what you want. But if you want to stay up on things, then
I know,
you're stuck with it.
Money. Yeah, for sure. And now every network has their own.
Mm-hmm.
And every network is trying to pump millions of dollars into making original content to keep your dollars. But I mean, HBO Max can't be the only one that's spending more money than they're making. Like, for sure.
Right.
Especially Netflix, seeing how they just lost like hundreds of millions of subscribers in the last quarter or something. So, I don't know. It's interesting. It's going to be. I think there is going to be more fallout from this cancellation as it ripples through Hollywood, as it ripples through other streamers and all that stuff that we haven't seen yet. And I think a lot of those ripples are going to be DC related. We're going to hear more. I think we're going to hear about more cancellations. I think we're going to be hearing about more shakeups. I heard a rumor that Shazam might move to Q1. They might take the release date just so, because like Black Adam, pretty guaranteed to make a bunch of money. The Rock's in it, superhero movie. And like they'll look at that. That's going to be like what they hang their hat on, like closing Q4. We made $1 billion with this movie, but they also need something to generate to say like, hey, we're having a good Q1 too. So why don't we put our other big superhero movie in Q1 somewhere, to kind of like ramp up numbers, whatever. That's a rumor, which makes sense to me. Yeah. I don't want them to do that because I would love to see Black Adam and Shazam back to back, month after month. But I can't imagine. I mean, I can imagine both scenarios, I guess. Also, side note, there's also a rumor that they have refilmed a new post-credit scene for Black Adam, which changes the future of that character in the DCEU. People are speculating. I haven't read anything. I haven't seen anything, but speculation is that maybe it sets him up as a bigger adversary moving forward. Instead of, I guess I don't know that there even was a post-credit scene first, but there's rumors now that he's going to maybe become like a Thanos-like overarching bad guy that has to be dealt with at some point. I don't know if that's true. But could that, if that is true, could that be another, like David Zaslav said, we have a reset. We have a 10-year plan. Are they already enacting their 10-year plan now because they know where they have to get to? So they have to start now, and they have to start weaving in threads to stuff that's already coming out. Is this why they're doing reshoots on The Flash? Who knows? Could be, could not be. But that segues very well into my theory for why they canceled Batgirl.
Okay.
And I think the tax write-off thing is a bonus for them. I think protecting the DC brand, I think that's maybe kind of accurate. But here's what I think. I think that it is part of their 10-year plan. I think it's part of the reset that they did. Let's take a quick reminder of what all signs and speculation point to the following. That Ben Affleck is coming back to be Batman one last time in The Flash. The Flash is going to be a multiverse movie, taking inspiration from Flashpoint, where he's going to run back in time, change something, come back to the future, and everything's going to be wild and crazy. He's going to have to figure out a way to resolve that in some way. He's going to meet Michael Keaton as Batman to help him do this somehow. And the speculation was, all signs point to that when the timeline is reset, Ben Affleck will no longer be Batman, and Michael Keaton is going to be the new Batman in the DCEU, but he will function more as like a Nick Fury character, just kind of popping up. He's not going to be like on the front lines with Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa or whatever, but he's going to be he's, for all intents and purposes, he's the Batman. He's Bruce Wayne of the DCEU now moving forward. Right. And we say goodbye to Ben Affleck, who doesn't want to be Batman anymore. I think, quite simply, they don't want a 70-year-old Batman to be the main Batman of DCEU anymore. And Batgirl was going to be the first movie that came out after The Flash that solidified the fact that Michael Keaton was the Batman of the DCEU. I think if they're going to bring in a multiversal Batman, they would rather bring in somebody like Robert Pattinson, who is, in his prime.
Someone they can utilize moving forward
and can stand toe-to-toe with Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot and not be like, well, this guy's 70 years old. How good, how good is he really going to be in a fight? Now, I'm not saying, my theory is not necessarily that they are going to make Robert Pattinson their Batman of the DCEU, but I'm fairly sure, and again, this is just my speculation, but I feel that it is right. I think that they don't want to go with the Michael Keaton route anymore. I think it's fine. Okay. They want to bring him back as Batman in The Flash and have a cameo, and great, isn't this wonderful nostalgia? But I don't think I think they want to have a younger, more
marketable?
Not marketable. I was about to say something like that, but like Michael Keaton as Batman is hugely marketable in a
it is,
crowd
but
that
only
loves
for
nostalgia.
how long?
Exactly. They want like a long term. They want a younger Justice League that can move forward together. And so I think that's why they canceled it. I think they canceled Batgirl to quote unquote protect the DC brand, so they can have a younger, maybe stronger, whatever, more involved Batman. Which is not the dumbest move, because Batman is the most profitable character that DC has, hands down. So if you want to be making a Justice League movie and have an active young Batman that can go toe-to-toe with Black Adam, you're going to believe a younger Batman over you're going to believe 70-year-old Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense. I think you might be onto something here.
I think they canceled Batgirl because they didn't want to go the Michael Keaton route, and Batgirl firmly cemented the Michael Keaton as Batman in the mainline DCU route. Right. So I think that's why they canceled it.
Them canceling it and being able to use the tax credit also gives them plausible deniability to this.
Yeah, and I mean, and because they don't want to admit plot points from the Flash.
Right.
So that's why they can't say we don't want to do this Michael Keaton route, because they don't want to say that that's what happens in the movie. And are those reshoots that they're doing in The Flash to fix it so it's more ambiguous? We don't know who the Batman is when he comes back. We know maybe it's somebody else, or they don't talk about it. They just reset the timeline and they can deal with it later. So I mean that, and they've even said that this week someone from Warner Brothers released a statement saying that they want to like mend fences with Leslie Grace, and it's not even off the table that she will never play Batgirl again. They're saying that maybe she might even be Batgirl down the road in a different project. Like they're keeping her in-house basically. So that would line up with that statement. It would line up with the statement about it wasn't a quality issue, and it would line up with we have a reset and there's a plan in place for the next 10 years of DC.
Yeah.
So that's my theory.
Seem to all track.
I don't think we'll ever hear about whether or not I'm right until after The Flash comes out, if The Flash ever comes out.
Right.
So we'll see. But that's what I got. That's what I think.
No, I think you might be onto something. And
yeah,
I guess the crossover and the utilization of someone like Pattinson is a little more dark and brooding than Batfleck. So
yeah,
it's a change of pace.
Yeah,
I guess it's a curious move, but that's
again,
where they want to go.
I'm not saying that it's going to be Robert Pattinson. It could be just another
just a new
cast.
another new cast. Yeah, that could work.
I don't know that Matt Reeves will be too happy about having to all of a sudden share his Batman or write in some kind of, because like you watch the Batman, it doesn't scream, "Here comes Aquaman" in part 2.
Yeah, it definitely isn't hey, I'm going to team up with all these other guys.
Yeah, it's not like now there's a portal opening up and I'm jumping to a different universe so I can team up with the Justice League kind of thing. And I kind of don't want that. I would rather it be another Batman.
Yeah, when
a new cast.
When they threw it out without like the continuity or any of that, and like it was its own separate thing, I was initially wary of where it was going to go. And then I watched the movie and I was like, oh no, I get it. Like, keep this grounded and doing its thing and whatever. Yeah. And like, I don't know.
Or maybe they just Sorry, go ahead. You can finish your thought. Sorry.
Oh no, I was segueing. So
I was gonna say maybe they just recast Bruce or Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne. It's that same. Maybe nothing changes. It's the same character, but played by a different actor.
Yeah, you find somebody else with a solid chin and weird Boston accent and go from there.
Yeah, exactly.
So
anyway, that's my theory. We'll see sometime, maybe never, if I'm right, but that's what I think.
No, that works. And I mean, dark and brooding seems to be a theme this episode. So
it sure does. And I'm excited for once in my life, I'm excited to stop talking about DC.
There you go. Because we're shifting into Marvel. And Marvel has one devil-horned superhero wearing red that may or may not be blind that also happens to moonlight as an attorney. We have seen the very dark and brooding side of the avocados at law. However, moving forward, it seems that we might have a bit of a change in the MCU as to what side of Charlie Cox's Daredevil we will see in She-Hulk.
That is right. If you remember from the She-Hulk trailer that they released at Comic-Con, we did get a shot of Daredevil doing a fun little flip and showing up in his classic yellow and red colored costume, which I'm actually very excited about. I wonder if he'll keep the yellow and red. Is that going to be his MCU costume, or is he going to go back to he's got to go back to all red at some point? I feel like.
Yeah, and at some point he's going to have to go to the Man in Black and then back, and standard Daredevil stuff. But
yeah. So we know that Daredevil's going to show up in She-Hulk. We also know, like you said, the Netflix Daredevil show, very dark and brooding. But we also know She-Hulk is designed as a half-hour comedy. Mm-hmm. So how are those two things going to work? Well, we got a quote from head She-Hulk writer Jessica Gao. And she had this to say about Charlie Cox as Daredevil. Charlie is so wonderful. He's so game to do whatever, and he's such a wonderful actor and a wonderful human being. What was so fun about bringing him and Daredevil into our world is that people have already seen a Daredevil who is very dramatic, little on the heavy side, very dark, brooding. It was so much fun to be able to do, and we do this with every character cameo in the MCU. Every character cameo. Is we take them from the environment you know them from, which is a much more dramatic and action-oriented role, much more on the serious side, and we bring them into our world, and they get to play in the tone of She-Hulk, and they get to explore, and we get to see a lighter side of that character. So we are going to see a lighter side of at least Daredevil, and she mentions other cameos. I feel like we're definitely going to see other cameos that we haven't seen in the trailer. We know we get an Abomination. We know Wong's going to be in it.
Right. There's got to be something else.
Yeah, there's rumors that Jessica Jones and maybe Luke Cage are going to be in this too. I hope that would be great if they were. But it looks like they're going to be on the lighter side, which is kind of like what we were talking about this ever since we saw D'Onofrio show up in Hawkeye as Kingpin.
Yeah.
That has a radically lighter take on that character. And that's just going to be what it is because it's Disney now. It's Disney Plus. So we're not going to... I don't think Daredevil Born Again is going to be an 18-episode, half-hour comedy by any stretch of the imagination, but it's certainly not going to be as dark as the Netflix thing. And I think this is going to be maybe a little bit of a taste as far of what kind of Daredevil we're going to get and when we see him in She-Hulk.
Yeah, and I mean, if they can pull it off, that's awesome. But like, Daredevil as a character has always been pretty Batman-y, for lack of a better description.
Sure. Yeah.
Street level, beat 'em up, very insular, very
intense.
Yeah. There's not a lot of levity going on in a standard Daredevil.
Yeah. But I think like what they're saying, or she is saying that the She-Hulk show is a certain tone and a certain vibe, and it's kind of fun watching those characters deal with that tone and vibe. So I think they can be doing this in a very fun way.
Right, like fish out of water a little bit.
And, yeah, exactly. And it's not necessarily going to be the way that they are in their own show or the next time we see those characters or whatever, but you know, they're kind of like forced into this like half-hour comedy kind of role. So I know we all knew that the Charlie Cox Daredevil was going to be lighter in the MCU, and this is just going to be our first taste of it. And I don't know. I'm excited about this show. I feel like it's going to be good. I thought that you said there was 9 episodes. I thought there was only 8. But either way,
I think they announced 9.
Either way, that's still a lot more than the 6 that we've been getting lately.
Absolutely.
From MCU shows, so I'm excited about that. I heard a rumor on a podcast today that there's a rumor that The Thing is going to be in this movie, like from the the show, Fantastic Four. Ben Grimm. Yeah, I don't know where that rumor. I heard it. Titania Maslany was on a podcast that I listened to this morning, and the host mentioned that rumor as if it was a widespread rumor. I had not heard that rumor, but apparently it's out there.
That works.
I feel like we're more likely to see characters we've already seen than to see a new, like a character that big, like Fantastic Four. I still don't think we're gonna see them before their movie.
Maybe a mutant of some sort.
Maybe, yeah.
Like I could see. I'm more in my brain. I'm more likely to see them peppered in here and there than I would be for the 4.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because they said the word mutant in Ms. Marvel. So
True.
You never know. Yeah.
Maybe it's Beast instead of Thing. Maybe Hank McCoy is
maybe
got some weird stuff going on. Get some
Unless
blue CG, green CG, mix it all up.
Unless that other rumor about them not being able to use X-Men characters until 2025.
True.
But it could be a character that we haven't seen yet.
Or a different cast.
There's thousands of X-Men. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
They could easily pull.
You know what? They bring back Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah, it's true. If it's the same actor, they can use him, right?
Yep. So, I don't know. We'll see. Like I'm not holding my breath on that one. So,
neither am I. And She-Hulk comes out this week, this Thursday. Right? Then they move it. Yeah. I think you can expect next week at least a recap of the first episode from Steve and I. We don't know if we're going to do the whole series yet because we have to contend with House of the Dragon and Lord of the Rings. I can see us doing maybe She-Hulk and Lord of the Rings. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
No more than 2, though.
True.
Did you know that Andor is like 12 episodes?
Yeah.
I did not realize that. I thought it was going to be another 6 or 8 episodes. Yeah. 12 episodes of Andor. It starts in September and it runs through like November. Crazy. So that's going to be taking us a while. We end up doing that one too. We'll be talking about that one a long time.
Thankfully, they pushed that one.
Yeah.
I've never been happy for them to push a show. For that one, I was like, no, that's okay. Cool. That's fine.
Yeah. Crazy. Got some comic book news to talk about. Actual comic books. Marvel is launching a new Deadpool series this fall from writer Alyssa Wong and artist Martin Coccolo. The synopsis is Deadpool's trying to join an elite mercenary team. In order to do so, he's tasked with finding and killing a dangerous supervillain in 48 hours, but he gets distracted when he's kidnapped and starts getting experimented on, and then learns that he now has something growing inside his own body. Weird. Alyssa Wong is quoted as saying, "I love chaos, and what is Deadpool if not chaos incarnate? I'm honored to take the reins of Wade's next solo adventure. Expect romance, expect body horror, and expect a wild time." New Deadpool #1 comes out in stores November 2nd. Steve, have you read much Deadpool?
Here and there. A lot of like crossovers, like Deadpool and Hawkeye, and him in and around various other characters. One of my favorite comic runs of all time featured Deadpool. So that would be the Uncanny X-Force by Rick Remender.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah. That's Deadpool's always he's been on the periphery. He's no, and as dumb as it sounds, the Ryan Reynolds take on Deadpool actually elevated him in my book.
Oh yeah, sure,
So
absolutely. I've always wanted to read. I've never read any of the Gail Simone run on Deadpool.
Yeah.
But I've heard that's tremendous. I've always wanted to read that. Yeah, I've read some of the Rick Remender X-Force as well, and I have at least one issue. It's a great issue. It's a Christmas issue of Deadpool where Santa doesn't bring any presents, and so a bunch of children who are mad at Santa hire Deadpool to go and kill Santa Claus. And it's awesome.
That is the most Deadpool book I could possibly think of. Yeah.
Yeah. So he goes to North Pole to find Santa Claus, and I don't remember how it ends. I think he might be successful at the end of it. So
he has killed the Marvel Universe. So
he has killed the Marvel Universe. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like it's interesting. I feel like Deadpool is a character that he always gets like limited runs, and there's never like an ongoing Deadpool book that just goes for years and years and years and years. It's always like this writer and this creative team is going to do it for, a year, and then that book's over, and then there's going to be another one later on. I don't know, but maybe that just serves the character well because he's so irreverent and crazy that reinventing him is very suited to his character.
Yeah, here's a completely different take. Oh, same character. Exactly. You're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's got to be hard to maintain like a long continuity with a character that is just so wild like that. Yeah, it's got to be difficult. Anyway, this week in your local comic book stores, we got Above Snakes #2, Avengers 1,000,000 BC #1, Batman One Bad Day, The Riddler #1 one shot. This is the first of DC's One Bad Day books. Highly anticipated story from Tom King and Mitch Gerads of Mr. Miracle fame. I got Batman Superman World's Finest #6, Black Adam #3, Captain Marvel #40, Daredevil #2. It's a very celebratory issue of the character because it's like his 60th anniversary at the same time.
Yep.
DC versus Vampires All Out War #2, Edge of the Spider-Verse #2, Harley Quinn #20, Hulk #8, Last Shadowhawk #1, New Mutants 28, Nightwing #95, Star Wars #26, We Ride Titans #5, X-Force 30, X-Men 13, and X-Men 92 #4. A lot going on in your local comic book store. Steve, you've been saying that you've been reading, finally getting into the Tom Taylor Nightwing run. As somebody, I have to ask you, as someone that is not as crazy familiar with maybe Nightwing or the DC Universe or the Bat family in general, how are you finding the Tom Taylor Nightwing run?
Yeah, so my main info on most of everything you just said, be it Nightwing or even Barbara Gordon to a degree, and the rest of the periphery, one of the main things has been Titans. And
oh wow,
yeah, so it's definitely a similar but different take on Mr. Grayson, and I can say this book I just can't put down.
Oh yeah,
it's like awesome. It's very well written. I actually texted a couple of panels to you at one point where I was like, this is just a good, like, perfect panel. I think it was like an interaction of him and Alfred or something like that, and it was just like
flashback.
They really, like, I know of the relationship, but this cements it, and it really it's been extremely well done. Yeah,
Taylor writes it very well, and Bruno's art is incredible. Yeah, it's so good. It's so like comic booky. I don't know how to say it any other way. It's like bright and big and just pops. I don't know. It pops in a way that not all
it's
comic book.
It's comic
not
booky.
Trying to be,
it's comic booky without being campy.
Sure, but it's also not trying to be like dark and broody and serious. It's like bright colors and like big interactions and stuff. It's just really
the action scenes inside the large typeface, like the whenever Nightwing is doing something and they're describing it in sounds that words like that are sounds. Yes, exactly. I was like, my brain is like, what is that word? anytime you come across that, it's like the action scene is displayed through the word, like subliminally behind the lettering, and it's just a nice touch. Like there's a lot of those nice little, I guess, Easter eggs you see in there, or like things you pick up on where you're like, yeah, they took their time and they did it right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a really great book overall. I'm glad you're digging it. I love it. Yeah. The Nightwing that's in Titans, he's a little more Batman-y than the one in the book. In the book, he's more, he's like maintained his Robin quips and fun and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a little bit of he's a little too dark for my taste in Titans, but I'll take a live action Nightwing anyway. I can get him. So, what did I just get? I got some good stuff. Oh, I got it's right behind me. Aquaman Andromeda #2, Black Label, Prestige. Ram V and Christian Ward. The art in this book is just really incredible. It's an underwater, deep sea horror Aquaman book. It's kind of like Alien, like a team of scientists find a sunken alien ship, and they venture inside of it. Actually, you know what? It's very similar now that I'm thinking about it too. That ever read Sphere or see the movie Sphere, the Michael Crichton book? It's actually very similar to that now that I'm thinking about it.
Probably makes for a good
really
story.
It does make for a good story. It's cool, yeah, and it's intense.
Daredevil 2, I confused. I was actually talking to Jesse when I went to get my pull. I confused Zdarsky runs. So I was like, because Batman 126 came out last week, and I was like, oh, isn't this the one that they're doing, like doing the anniversary, and it's like out of the continuity and all that? And then I was like, I left and I came back here, and I was like, oh yeah, I was thinking the other Zdarsky run. Where the second one is going to be completely off.
That's funny. So, yeah. I know. I'm going to try to run to Funky Town tomorrow and get my pull because I'm dying to read that. And I'm dying to read Poison Ivy.
Yep.
So good.
Poison Ivy 3 was good. Can confirm.
Awesome.
It's now on my pull.
Congratulations.
You're converting me slowly but surely.
Of DC. Yeah. Awesome. All right, got some one shots to finish some stuff out for you tonight. First of all, got Zazie Beats. Domino herself is in talks to return to her role and for Joker 2. She was the quote-unquote love interest in the first Joker, although, spoiler alert, turned out to maybe be a lie. I mean, seemingly there's a way. Of course, there's a way that she could be in Joker 2. I don't know. Can't imagine what they would do with her character based on the way they left things in the first one, but she's a great actress, so if she's going to be in it, I'm going to watch her be in it. So she may come back for Joker 2.
Sorry, I was thinking about Domino and how they need to bring her back as that too.
Yeah, they really do.
Aaron Taylor Johnson praises the practical sets of Kraven the Hunter. You know, we've talked in a lot of other things about how practical sets are, still have their time and place instead of something like the volume. Apparently, Kraven is using that. I don't know if it's going to help Kraven, but Aaron Taylor Johnson seems to, stating that Kraven being shot entirely on location is going to make all the difference. It's going to add something really beautiful to our personal story. It also sets Kraven apart from that Marvel stage look. It's important that this character is to be in the real world. It's important for the authenticity of the story. When you're running on streets barefoot, you take in those elements and play within that. He seems to be pushing this as a bonus.
Yeah,
who knows?
It's funny that he straight calls out that Marvel stage look. Like he straight up calls out the MCU. And I agree. I mean, Kraven is a hunter and should be outside. So like, if it's not, the more realistic that can be, the better it's gonna look, I guess. I also gotta say, over the last couple nights, in segments I rewatched the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad. And I thought of that because that was, I feeling like the real sets, when they're in that city at the end while Starro's destroying buildings and stuff. They're on real streets, they're on real buildings, they're running past real buildings and stuff, and it makes a big difference. Like it looks great, it looks real, it looks great. The CGI fits right in. It's just, it just feels bigger and better. So. if Kraven's going for that, then that makes me excited for Kraven. Something else Marvel related. Marvel's Midnight Suns game has gotten another delay. We've been talking about this for over a year, I think. They announced it a while ago. It was supposed to come out on October 7th, and they delayed it until ? They did not announce a new date, but they did announce that the Disney convention D23 that's happening next month is going to feature a Marvel game panel. So thoughts are that maybe we'll get another release date announced at that D23 next month.
And last but not least,
some Star Wars news. We've been talking about nothing but DC and Marvel. Steve, finish this up with some Star Wars news.
Well, it's something that people, even
not even
if
really
you,
news.
No, but even if you didn't like the sequel movies, there's something that you can't help but love, and that is Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron, because well, it's Oscar Isaac, and
he's Oscar Isaac,
right? So it has come out, even though in the past he has stated that he is done in the Star Wars universe. He came out and flat out said, I would be more than up to return as Poe Dameron. I'm happy to return, blah, blah, blah. Like, went on and on about, yeah, I'm up for it. Funnily enough, after that happened, John Boyega on Twitter called him out. It was
Did he really?
Yeah, I can't remember the tweet, but I remember seeing it of like, what? You what? So I don't think we're going to see Poe and Finn back at present. There's been plenty of other issues that have plagued the John Boyega saga. None of which look great for Lucasfilm, but
no.
You never, maybe Oscar goes and talks to Boyega and is like, hey, let's run this one back one more time.
Yeah. He could certainly be like a foot in the door to get the rest of that cast back. He basically, that interview that I read with Oscar Isaac said he's open to returning if there's a story to tell. He's just interested in telling good stories, and which every actor should be. And I think he was clearly a little burnt out from. The Rise of Skywalker was made from start to finish in a year, so
right.
that's a lot of work for a cast to make a movie in that short amount of time. He was probably very burnt out, and maybe not satisfied with the final product of that movie.
Can't imagine why. We've discussed it ad nauseum.
Yep. But like anything else, like right now we're going through this big like nostalgia wave for the prequels because the kids that saw the prequels when they were 10 are adults now, and I think that same thing is going to happen with the sequels. I mean, they're the character of Rey has brought just millions of young girls into the Star Wars universe. She's a lot of people's favorite character, and a lot of even people that don't like the movies like the character of Rey. I'm one of those people. I like the movies, but I also like Rey. So I don't think we're going to have to wait 20 years to get like the sequel nostalgia before we get these characters back. I mean, that's up to them if they want to come back or not, but
right.
I do think we will see them again. Hopefully we don't have to wait that long as we've had to wait to get, Ewan McGregor back. But,
yeah. If it's that long, we got some other problems.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of D23, that'd be cool if we do get some other Star Wars updates, maybe like a Rogue Squadron thing.
Yeah, I would absolutely love that.
Or the Taika Waititi movie, anything like that would be great.
Right, and I got a hunch we'll see a little bit there. And that's going to be another one of those, since the mouse owns both Star Wars and Marvel, that we'll probably, I would assume, either have a recap or special episode about and go from there. And that'll be coming up in, I believe, 3-4 weeks?
Yeah, about a month, I think. D23 is next month, yeah. So cool. Well, I think that's all I got. That's my episode. I feel like I talked the majority of this episode, so sorry for people that hate the sound of my voice. But if you do, then why are you even listening at all?
Point.
Yeah.
Accurate point.
Yeah.
But if you'd like to hear more of Mike's voice or my voice, feel free to check us out at themultiversereport.com, themultiversereport@gmail.com if you want to send us some stuff. Multiverse Report on all the socials. Twitter, it's MultiverseRPT because somebody else stole our tag. Beyond that, leave us a review, like, subscribe, follow us, give us the whole shebang, and come check us out every week here 9:30 on Twitch. Sundays.
That's right. Usually Sundays. Mondays today because Steve was in Legoland, as previously mentioned. But
it's true.
That's true. But until next time, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the multiverse.
I was debating attempting a Han Solo. It's true. All of it. Let's see. Did I input the thing I needed to input?